At 2:10 a.m., my phone vibrated. It was a message from my dad. "We sold your car. You don't deserve it. You're 25 and still working night shifts. Grow up. You're an embarrassment to this family." Then came another message. "We used your name to open a credit card for your sister's wedding with a $27,500 limit, which is already maxed out. Don't ruin her future like you ruined yours." All I could do was smile as I drove home. I left a small black envelope in their mailbox, containing a flash drive labeled "Play Me Loud." This morning, they played it, and now my parents can't stop shouting. They're begging for me to answer, saying they're sorry, and asking me to come home. They have no clue this was just a preview. The real event hasn't even begun, and they haven't seen what I'm saving for Christmas. I know this might sound unbelievable, but I swear it's true. I honestly don't care if anyone believes me. I just need to get this off my chest because my hands are still shaky, and I'm fueled by spite, Red Bull, and what little patience I have left. It's around 2:10 a.m., and I'm at home. Yeah, I should be sleeping, but at this point my schedule is totally messed up. I end up scrolling through my phone, trying to forget that I'm 25, living in a tiny space, eating cold noodles, and haven't spoken to my parents in weeks. The last time was when they called me to help Lucy with her wedding planning, after which they ignored me completely. When my phone buzzed, I initially ignored it because who texts at 2 a.m. except for drunks or scammers? But then I saw it was from my dad, and he rarely texts unless it's something serious. I opened it and couldn't believe what I was reading. It simply said, "We sold your car. You don't deserve it. You're 25 and still working night shifts. Grow up. You're an embarrassment to this family." I stared at it, hoping he'd follow up with a "just kidding" or something. But then another message came through. "We used your name to open a credit card for your sister's wedding with a $27,500 limit, which is already maxed out. Don't ruin her future like you ruined yours." I laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was so typical of them. It's almost comical at this point. For context, my parents, Phyllis and Jack, have always favored Lucy. If something needs to be done and Lucy's busy, I'm the go-to. If Lucy gets a new phone, I get her old one. Lucy's wedding is this huge affair, and I'm just expected to attend and not embarrass anyone. They're not even pretending to be malicious. It's clear I'm not the child they wanted. Some might ask, why not just walk away? But try going no contact with people who reach out every time something breaks or to guilt you into being more of a man. I'm angry, sure, but it's more like a strange clarity. I always knew they didn't respect me, but this felt like a slap in the face. I'm not even sure how they sold my car. I left it at their place last weekend because Lucy needed the driveway for her wedding planning. I was already late for something else, so I thought it would be safe. But I guess they decided it was theirs to sell. Classic. Now I'm sitting there, picking at the edge of my desk, realizing they don't think I'll do anything. That's always been our dynamic. They push, I take it. They walk all over me, I say nothing, and Lucy cries, making me the villain for causing tension. But this time, I just got up, grabbed my backpack, and started searching through my old tech stuff. I found an old black flash drive from some promotional event ages ago, plugged it in, wiped it, and began recording a voice memo. I calmly recounted every time they treated me like an afterthought, like when they forgot my birthday and handed me a gift card they found in a junk drawer, or when Lucy crashed my bike and I had to apologize to her. I listed every instance where it was clear I was just a backup plan. Then I said, "This isn't a threat, it's a promise. If you want to play games, I'm not your pawn anymore. You think you can take what you want, and I'll just accept it? No, you're going to remember this." I ended the recording, copied it to the flash drive, labeled it "Play Me Loud," and put it in a plain black envelope I found in my junk drawer. It felt satisfying to write their address on it. No note, just the drive. I drove over to their house around 3:30 a.m., which was a whole ordeal since I had to use a rideshare app since my car was gone. The driver looked at me like I was about to rob the place. I left the envelope in their mailbox, walked back down the street, and waited until the driver circled back. It's a small neighborhood, and everyone is nosy. The whole time, I was just running through everything they've done, but now I wasn't sad, just genuinely ready to see what would happen when they couldn't control the narrative. The next morning, I was back home, and my phone started blowing up with missed calls and messages from my parents, Lucy, and even random relatives. I didn't check most of them, but I saw a preview from my mom. "Tell him we're sorry, tell him to come home, tell him to answer. Please God, someone make him answer." The caps lock was on, so I knew she was panicking. Then I got a text from Lucy asking, "What did you do? Why are mom and dad freaking out? You're ruining everything. I need you to fix this." I just left it on read. Now they're calling everyone, even the neighbors. I guess my mom went outside and started yelling, which checks out. I'm just sitting here with my phone face down, eating leftovers, and trying to decide if I even care about the wedding anymore. The wildest part? This is just the preview. They have no clue what's actually coming. I'm not done. I've got things saved for Christmas that will make them wish they'd never heard my name. It feels good to finally hold the cards. Everyone says I'm too passive, too nice, or whatever. Not this time. They wanted to make me the villain? Fine, let's see how they like it. If you made it this far, yeah, I'm mad, but I'm not looking for sympathy. Just wait to see what happens next. Update 1 asterisk I didn't expect to post again so soon. But you won't believe the chaos that ensued after the flash drive. I thought they'd just yell at me or maybe block me for a week, but nope. It's been like a reality show. Everyone's angry, tired, and confused about group texts. After I posted last time, I kept my phone silent for a bit, thinking they'd get bored and move on. I was wrong. First, my Aunt Sharon texted me. She never texts, only posts minion memes and prayer requests on Facebook, asking what was going on because my mom called her at 6 a.m. and my dad wasn't answering anyone while Lucy was crying again. I left her on read. This isn't my circus, not my monkeys. Later, I checked the family group chat, and it was chaos. Phyllis was typing in all caps like she was summoning a demon. Jack sent a voice note that I had no intention of listening to. Lucy was guilt-tripping me, saying I ruined her special day and I needed to fix it because family comes first. Classic Lucy. I almost felt bad for her, until I remembered the text from Jack about the car and the credit card, and my annoyance returned. Things got crazier when the wedding vendors started contacting my parents because the credit card got declined. My Uncle Daniel, who's always been too nosy, heard the yelling in the house and called my mom, who snapped at him to stay out of it and hung up. He immediately called me, but I sent it to voicemail. He texted, "If this is about money, just say so. I'll talk to Jack." I didn't reply. By noon, my old neighbor, not my sister, texted me asking if I was okay because my mom was yelling at the mail carrier and slamming doors. Apparently, the house had become the family drama headquarters. The group chat was full of relatives arguing. Sharon asked, "Where did the wedding money go?" And Daniel said Jack needed to talk to his son. Phyllis was just spamming angry emojis, so I muted the chat. Lucy started bombarding my phone with guilt-trip paragraphs, saying I was ruining her life, and I had to fix everything or she would never forgive me. She even suggested I was jealous because she did things the right way. I understood why she was upset. She's been told her whole life that if she wanted something badly enough, someone, usually me, would make it happen. When you grow up with everyone covering for you, you start to feel entitled. But I'm no longer her emotional punching bag. I screenshot her texts and sent them to my cousin Chris, the only family member who kind of understands. He replied with a meme of a puppet monkey looking side to side, classic Chris. Then I got a DM on Instagram from a girl who used to be in Lucy's friend group, asking if it was true that my parents maxed a credit card in my name. Lucy's been blaming me for the wedding falling apart, saying I sabotaged everything. I didn't respond, but I realized Lucy was spinning this to everyone she knew. I guess that's her defense mechanism. If she screams loud enough, maybe nobody will notice she's standing on a pile of my stuff. Meanwhile, my mom started texting me long apologies, but they weren't real apologies. They were more like, "We're sorry you feel that way, but we just wanted to help Lucy have a nice day, and you know you're not good with money." At one point, she tried to lure me over by saying, "Grandma's worried about you." Low blow, but not surprising. I ignored her. I wasn't going to let them run the same play again. Every time I showed up, they just wanted to talk me down and make it my fault. The next day, my dad finally tried calling. When I didn't pick up, he left a voicemail half yelling, half reasonable, saying, "We did what we had to do. You weren't using the car. You don't need that much credit. Lucy's wedding is more important. You'll understand when you're older." He hung up without saying goodbye. I sent the voicemail to Chris, who replied, "Damn." And then nothing else, classic. Here's where I started pushing back. I messaged Uncle Daniel saying, "You should ask Jack what happened to the money." No details, just that. 2 hours later, Daniel called my mom, and apparently it got heated enough that she hung up and threw something against the wall. Lucy texted me later, saying Mom lost it. The family group chat was now filled with people asking questions, half blaming me, half blaming Jack and Phyllis. I started seeing vague posts from my extended family on Facebook about how some people don't appreciate what they have, and family will let you down. It was kind of hilarious since none of them knew how deep this went. The best part, since the credit card was maxed out, the wedding vendors were getting anxious. One of them called Lucy's fiancé's parents, and now there was a whole side drama. Lucy's fiancé started texting me in all caps, asking how I could do this and accusing me of ruining Lucy's life. I muted him. At one point, Lucy showed up at my apartment. I didn't even know she knew where I lived. She banged on my door, demanding I come out and talk. When I opened the door, she tried to push past me, but I held her back. She was crying, mascara running, telling me I was selfish and always had been, saying all she wanted was one nice thing, and now everyone was laughing at her. I told her, "You made your bed, now lie in it." She slapped my arm, but I didn't budge. I shut the door in her face, and she stood there for a minute before stomping off. After that, I started getting calls from random numbers, probably my parents using other phones. I blocked them all. The next day, I got a text from Chris saying family dinner was canceled. At this point, my parents were practically in social exile. Their friends were asking questions, neighbors were gossiping, and everyone was speculating about the family drama. I got a text from Aunt Sharon asking if I was okay because Grandma was worried. I texted back that I was fine and left it at that. Some might say I'm being harsh, but after years of this, I don't feel charitable. They never respected my boundaries or treated me like a real person, just a backup for their golden child. Now they're finally getting a taste of what it's like when I stop playing along. The wild part? Nobody even knows what I'm saving for Christmas. That's when the real show starts. So yeah, the meltdown is still happening. I'm just chilling, watching the group chat implode while eating takeout and making plans. I'm not done, not even close. If you think this was messy, just wait. Update 2 asterisk. I thought after Lucy stormed out and Phyllis started her concerned mother campaign, things might settle down. Nope, not even close. If anything, it's like every day brings a new level of chaos. First, I noticed my parents switched tactics. Suddenly, Jack was sending "let's be reasonable" texts like he was the bigger man. He left short voicemails now, not yelling but trying to talk through things and telling me not to do anything drastic. Little late for that. Meanwhile, Lucy was going nuclear on social media, tagging me in old photos with cringeworthy captions, trying to rewrite the story for anyone who would listen. Her friends were commenting, "OMG, can't believe people can be so selfish," and sending prayers. Classic move. She's always been good at making herself the center of attention. I almost felt bad for her, until I remembered the text from Jack about the car and the credit card, and I got annoyed all over again. Then I found out something interesting. Jack always kept a stash of emergency cash hidden in an old toolbox in the garage. He never told Phyllis where it was, acting like it was some big secret. Guess who had been using that to pay off wedding deposits? I found out because I still had the garage door code and went there when no one was home. I didn't take anything. I just checked if the stash was still there. It wasn't. So I sent an anonymous tip to Daniel. "You should ask Jack about the wedding money." 2 hours later, Daniel called my mom, and it got heated enough that she hung up and threw something against the wall. Lucy texted me later about how Mom lost it. The family group chat was now filled with people asking questions, half blaming me, half blaming Jack and Phyllis. I even got a text from Lucy's fiancé's mom saying, "You need to do something. This is your fault. We're very disappointed." I blocked her. The wedding group chat, which I forgot I was in, was now just Lucy begging people for money or understanding. I left the group. Chris told me Lucy tried to start a GoFundMe, but nobody donated. Then, one of the vendors posted a vague comment on their business page about unreliable families and broken promises. Phyllis lost it. She called me, sobbing, saying, "I need to fix this now, or there will be consequences." I didn't respond. Jack tried a different tactic. He showed up at my apartment, knocking like he was just there to chat. I opened the door a crack, but he tried to push past me. I blocked him with my foot. He muttered that I owed it to the family, that I was selfish, that I'd be nowhere without them. I told him to leave, and he got mad, shoving the door. I slammed it back, and he stood there yelling for a bit before stomping off. After that, I got a text from Phyllis. "You're tearing this family apart. You'll regret this. We're your parents. You can't just do this to us." She's always been great at turning everything into a guilt trip, but I'm not 12 anymore. I just deleted it. The fallout was bigger than I expected. People were picking sides now, and Aunt Sharon was calling for a family meeting. Half the cousins were refusing to show up, and Lucy was demanding anyone who ever met me, saying I was unstable and needed help. Whatever, let her talk. I got a DM from a guy who used to work with Jack, asking what was going on because Jack had been acting weird and snapping at people. I just replied, maybe he should focus on his own problems. He left me on read. Even Grandma got dragged into this. She called me for the first time in months, saying, I don't know what's going on, but I hope you all work it out. I told her, Grandma, this isn't my mess to clean up. She sighed and hung up. I felt a bit bad about that. By this point, Lucy's wedding was basically dead in the water. Nobody was paying vendors, half the guests were backing out, and Lucy's fiancé was suddenly taking time to think. Chris told me he and his parents were demanding receipts from mine because they were worried about all the money they spent for nothing. Phyllis and Jack tried to get me to meet up in person, but I refused. They sent Chris to talk to me like he was supposed to be the peacemaker. He showed up with coffee, sat on my couch, and said, I don't even know whose side I'm on, man. I told him, you don't have to pick sides, just don't get in the way. He nodded, drank his coffee, and left. No drama, just tired. The last thing that dropped was Lucy showing up again, this time not even pretending. She was screaming in the hallway, demanding I fix everything. She swung at me, trying to hit my chest. I blocked her arm and pushed her back. She was sobbing, calling me a monster, and saying she wished I was never born. I said nothing and closed the door. She stood there for a while before leaving. At this point, I was just watching everything from the sidelines. Phyllis and Jack were losing friends, relatives were angry, and Lucy was about to lose her wedding and maybe her fiancé. They all blamed me, but I wasn't losing sleep over it. They played themselves. It's wild how quickly people turn when they don't get what they want. I kept my head down, eating cheap takeout, waiting for everyone to run out of steam. But as I said before, I'm not done. I have something big planned for Christmas, and it's going to make all of this look like mere practice. So yeah, the screws are officially turning. Stay tuned. Final update asterisk, so I guess this is it. Christmas rolled around, and honestly, the lead-up was strange. Everyone pretended the last few months never happened. Phyllis texted me a week before, asking if I was coming home for the holidays like we were some normal sitcom family. Jack was silent, which was a blessing. Lucy posted throwback family photos on her socials. Those old Christmas mornings where I'm half out of frame, holding some re-gifted sweater. I almost bailed on the whole thing, but I said I'd make Christmas count, and I wasn't about to chicken out. I showed up, figuring if I skipped, they'd just use that against me. Plus, I wanted to see their faces. The house looked the same, but the lights were a bit sadder, and the driveway was empty, RIP my car. When I walked in, nobody even looked at me at first. Just awkward mumbling. Phyllis tried to hug me, but I stepped back and nudged her arm away. She pretended not to notice. Jack was at the table, scrolling on his phone, looking bored. Lucy was in the kitchen, helping with food, but mostly complaining about not being able to find the good plates. I sat down, and it was tense. Nobody talked about the wedding, the money, or the car. Just small talk about Grandma's bunions and how the neighbor's dog barks too much. For a second, I wondered if they would get through the entire day without a blow-up, but nah. I know these people too well. After dinner, cardboard turkey and lumpy potatoes, nobody was talking. I pulled out my bag, and Phyllis asked if I brought gifts. I said nothing and just handed her a box. She opened it to find another little black envelope, just like before. Lucy rolled her eyes and Jack sighed. I told them, this is for everyone, so maybe don't open it in the kitchen. They all shuffled into the living room, Grandma included. Inside the envelope was a flash drive labeled, Play Me Loud. Phyllis looked at it like it was a snake, but Lucy grabbed it and plugged it into the TV. For a moment, I almost regretted this, but then I saw Jack's face and remembered every time he called me a disappointment. The drive started with a slideshow. Not fancy, just a string of screenshots of texts from Jack, voicemails from Phyllis, and all those moments that showed how little I mattered. There was the part where Jack said, You're not using the car. You don't need it. Lucy's day is more important. Phyllis was crying about how I should fix things, because it was my fault. Lucy was texting me that I ruined her life, and even some old group chat messages where they made plans and forgot to invite me, then blamed me for not showing up. Then it switched to audio. I clipped together a bunch of the worst stuff. Jack ranting about me being lazy, Phyllis whispering to a friend that I just didn't have what Lucy had, and Lucy bragging to her friends that she could get anything she wanted if she just asked Mom and Dad. It ended with me saying, "This is how you treat people when you think nobody's watching. This is what family looks like when you only care about one person. You wanted me to disappear, but I'm done being quiet. Merry Christmas." The room went dead silent. Jack muttered something about airing dirty laundry. Phyllis snapped and said I was cruel for ruining the holiday. Lucy tried to shove past me into the hallway, but I blocked her. She slapped my arm and I didn't move. She slammed the bathroom door. Grandma stood up slowly and said, "I can't believe what I just heard." She walked out, and Aunt Sharon left right after her, not even looking at anyone. Jack yelled that I didn't know what real family meant and stormed into another room, slamming the door so hard the pictures rattled. Phyllis just sat there, staring at me until she finally asked, "Why would you do this to us?" I looked at her and said, "You did this to yourselves." She started crying. I stood up, grabbed my bag, and left. Outside, it was snowing. I walked to the street and called a ride, not looking back. My phone buzzed nonstop with texts from Lucy, missed calls from Phyllis, and even Jack tried one last time before I blocked his number for good. So that's it. Not some big movie ending where everything is tied up neatly. They'll have to live with what they did, and now everyone else knows too. I'm not their backup plan, not their scapegoat, and I'm definitely not coming back for round 2. If you're reading this and think it's too harsh, I don't know what to tell you. Some people don't learn unless you turn the volume all the way up. I'm just glad I finally did. And yeah, Merry Christmas.